Hi there, I'm Matthew Quilliam and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, please don't forget to like and subscribe. Welcome back. This time we're going to be looking at 10 essential items or apps that you need to carry around with you at all times if you're a ukulele player. So let's get started with the first item. Now, actually, the first item is a pencil case that I carry around all of these gadgets in. Having a pencil case, and especially one that's quite bright and easily identifiable at the bottom of a black bag, is really useful. Before recently, I used to carry all of these gadgets loose around in a backpack or a little satchel bag, and all the items are black and the bag is black as well, and every time I'd open the bag I'd always forget where the items were or they would have moved, and I'm constantly searching with these things and sometimes I can't find them. I'm sure we've all had brief moments of scare when we think we've lost something because we can't find it in our bags, and so a clear identifiable little bag or wallet or pencil case is my first tip in order to avoid that sensation. So if we open up the bag, the first thing I'm going to pull out is number 2, a tuner. This is one of those things that can be a physical item or an app. I prefer the physical item because you can do it in a room where there are other people playing, because the tuner will literally only pick up what you're playing. If you're using an app and it's recording all the sound in the room, if you're in a room with other musicians, then it's going to pick their noise up too. However, apps are, of course, well, they can be free, and they're just as reliable and accurate. And also, shh, don't tell anyone I told you, but if you turn the internet off of your phone when using the tuning apps, the ads don't come up. That's a little tip from me to you. Obviously, we all know why it's so important to stay in tune, and so a tuner is an absolute must for any instrumentalist at all, really. The next item is a metronome. Now, this is a little digital portable one. Traditional metronomes are huge and totally impractical to carry around, whereas this little thing has a little fold-out stand that can go on your desk or your table or whatever, and it's nice and light and compatible, and this particular one, oh, hello, you can see the camera there, hello. This particular one, by Korg, has so many different settings. You can change the time signature, the tempo, the beats and the rhythms and things. This is such a diverse device, and it's really important to stay in time, especially if you're playing with other people. Having a metronome to practice with is essential, so make sure you always have one in your vicinity. So that was item number 3. Now item number 4 is a capo, or a capo as our American friends call it. This is a specific ukulele capo. You're not going to be able to use a guitar capo. Make sure you use a ukulele one because it's smaller and is designed for the smaller strings. Now capos, you can put them on at different frets and it sort of changes the tuning for you if you like. It creates a new 0 point, so you can use the same chord shapes but play in a different key. Now, I don't think that this is 100% essential all of the time. It really depends on your chord vocabulary, and if you know very well where all the different chord shapes are of the same chord. For example, if you're playing a song in C but actually you want it in D, I personally am well versed enough to know where all the shapes are in the key of D. But if you don't, or if I'm feeling lazy, then capo is always very useful indeed. Of course, capos can be useful too if you are trying to transpose something and maintain the voice, but it just gets so uncomfortable, so using a capo is sometimes useful. It has its uses, but also you shouldn't be over-reliant on them either. They shouldn't be a substitute for you learning and taking the time to practice new chord shapes, because otherwise, what's the fun in learning new things? Item number 5 is earplugs. Now these are called thunder plugs, and they have a little really nice case actually that goes on a key ring, and these ones are great because they aren't just bits of foam that when you're trying to listen to things it just makes it all sound sort of clogged up. These actually still have a hole that go all the way through them, but it just reduces the size of your ear hole if you like, and you can even customize it by removing these various squidgy bits or adding more on to change the size of the hole. So these are really great. I use them a lot when I'm practicing, especially with a drummer or a loud orchestra, like if I've got a brass section that I'm playing with. So these are really useful. Also, if you're listening to a lot of live music in a day, I would really recommend earplugs as well. If you're just in a ukulele band, then potentially you won't need these to protect your hearing, but you never know. You could end up sat right next to the bass player who's blaring out of his amplifier at full volume, and that ear is going to get pretty deaf pretty quickly. So always make sure you have these just in case. Item 6 is really 2 items, but it's all about nail care. You've got nail scissors, and actually these are great as well. Specific finger plasters, they wrap around your finger. Normal plasters just don't cut it. These are amazing. A number of times I've been out and about and I've snapped a nail, either completely off or it's sort of half come off and I needed to trim, and I just haven't had these with me. So now I carry these everywhere I go for emergencies, just in case I break a nail or something. It's more for a right hand thing, or if you strum with your right hand, or if you do it with your left, then obviously the left, because I like to keep my nails nice and long. In fact, you can actually see one of them, this one, is significantly shorter than all the others. That broke at a gig halfway through playing, and that was very painful to play because it was half off, and yeah. So carrying these around at all times will be really useful, especially if you have quite weak nails like me or like to have them long. They're very susceptible to damage. At position 7 we have paper and pens. Well, I always like to keep both pencil and rubber and a pen as well, just in case. As well, carry some spares in case people you're working with have forgotten theirs, but make sure you get them back at the end. These books are great. They have both manuscript paper on one side and the normal regular sort of notebook lines on the other, which is great because you can take both musical notes and literature notes as well. Especially if you're going to jams and things or working things out on the fly. These come in handy more often than not. You'd be surprised. And even if you're not using your own paper, make sure you've always got a pen and pencil to hand, just in case you have to make any notes on the music that you're working from. Now I'm making these next items for number 8 separate from the previous item, and that is different coloured highlighters. Highlighters, especially if you can colour code, are very useful for reading music. For example, you can designate one colour to key changes, another one to any sort of tricky bits that you have to point out, and so on and so forth. Being able to highlight and easily spot things like structure, chord changes, all that kind of thing is really useful, especially if it's quite a dense chart that you're reading from. So make sure you always have some highlighters and make a consistent system within your own highlighting to make sure that you don't get confused. Number 9, chords. Any ukulele player will know the basic chords such as D minor or C or whatever, but if you can get yourself a little book like this one, this is jam-packed full of all the ukulele chords you'll ever need to know. There's so many in here, and this is so much better than having a little bit of paper that you then have to fold out and then fold away again. Just get yourself a neat little book like this. I got this one for £4. These are really great. So I would always recommend having these chords, just in case a chord comes up in a song that you don't know, and you can easily go to this alphabetically ordered system and go, oh look, that's what a C diminished 7 is. This particular one has a photograph of the playing, and then notation, chord tones, and a diagram as well. Invaluable resource. The final item on this list isn't actually an item itself, but rather just having spares. I've got spare batteries for my metronome and a spare pick in case I'm playing guitar or something. I don't use picks on ukulele, but if you do, make sure you carry uke picks around as well. I have a pencil sharpener, spare pencils and things, and I've basically just got 2 of everything. That's really useful because you don't want the one thing that you're relying on to break halfway through a gig, or your amp to run out of power, or your preamp on your instrument, or your metronome, or your tuner. Just make sure you've got spares on you at all times, because it's only in the most frustrating times that the batteries will go or your pick will fall down the drain. So make sure you have enough spares, but not too many that it's weighing you down either. So there we go, those are my tips and 10 essential items or apps that you should have on you at all times. I prefer the physical stuff, I'm old-fashioned. You can get lots of these things though as apps as well if you prefer. So that's it from me for today. If you've enjoyed the video, please do subscribe. It really helps me out and gets the channel out there and allows me to make more videos like this to give you some helpful, useful content. Thank you very much. I've been Matthew Quilliam. Bye. Having spares. I've got spare batteries from my men. Yes, I do.